Welcome, Cinepals. I'm Jabby Koway, joined by Char Kirk.
What's up?
We are watching the new trailer to Extraction 2. Actually, it's a teaser. So, you guys, if you haven't already, do me a big favor. Hit the subscribe button, bell icon, all notifications, and pretty please vote this sucker up. Let YouTube know you're enjoying what you're watching. Let's jump into this. Here we go.
Move.
Oh, you can rescue me any day, Chris Hemsworth. Whoa.
What?
Whoa. What is this?
What is that? Is that a chaff? Oh, it's a chaff grenade?
That looks really cool. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Dude.
You were clinically dead 9 months ago.
Oh. Thanks for explaining.
But you fought your way back. You came back for this. Why?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yo. Goosebumps galore. This is so cool. Oh my god. What insanity. That was an amazing cut.
Oh, wow. Because Hemsworth, you're literally on fire. Ah!
Yo.
Wow.
What the
What
hell?
the hell?
Oh my god.
What is he on?
Yo, Sam Hargrave. What is up, dude?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, we actually did an interview with Sam Hargrave on this channel, and super nice guy. And can't wait to talk to him again. So they showed some amazing stuff in there. Now, I am not a fan of oneers anymore. They did some really creative stuff in here. Because like there were some cuts in there, and they switched between two different kinds of rigs, basically, right? Because you have the Steadicam rig that's sort of following everything, but they also had that, what I call a Rec Room for a Dream rig, because it's like, that's the first time I saw it, where the camera's like fixed to his body as he's walking around. I haven't seen that used in so long, and it's the first time I've seen it used in a while where I'm like, oh, that's actually like a perfect place to use it. It makes sense because you really feel like you're in his headspace when he's like kind of jarred and whatnot.
Where he's like discombobulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think this is so cool. I couldn't help but be reminded of the because recently I've been watching Daredevil season 3, so there was that whole like prison scene with Charlie Cox in the prison, and it was mayhem because like there were so many people and people were kind of going in and out, and the camera was changing where we as the audience were focusing our attention on.
Right.
And they kind of did a similar thing here, but like on a much bigger scale. Like it felt like you were kind of part of the madness.
It's like that scene in Mother with fight scenes.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my God, there's so much going on. Like, I've never been in a protest or a riot or anything like that, but I imagine the feeling of like kind of everyone around you just kind of going crazy, and you're just trying to do you and survive in the meantime. It really captured that really well.
It felt loosely inspired by The Raid 2. Now, I know you haven't seen that, but there's a prison fight scene in that movie that is quite chaotic and violent. This ups the ante to a whole other level because it looks like it's peppered with way more people. And what actually takes place, what unfolds in this action is actually a lot more frightening because of the fire. Like, that just adds another level to it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about, where they cut. Like, it was done so well that it all felt like one seamless motion. And if you're able to convince me or fool my brain into thinking that it's a seamless, like one continuous shot, that's awesome, because it feels like it's so obvious. The tells are so obvious these days where it's like, oh, that was a cut, that you could tell the camera went through something. That's impossible. Like, I like it when it feels like all this feels like you're really there, like with a handy cam or something like that.
Yeah, it feels immersive.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate that we have a whole slew of action films now that are dedicated by people who I mean, I guess we would call them action professionals, like
Well, Sam Hargrave, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, like former stunt people who have like moved on up and have become directors. And so they're able to offer us something which just feels really cool and different. And like, they're really thinking about how the action is presented and how to present it well in the storytelling. And so I'm just like really appreciative that we have this,
Yeah, I mean, there was something really neat about that shot at the end when he took a minigun and took out the helicopter. There was something about that was really cool that you don't see too often that felt very Christopher Nolan-esque. I don't know any other way to put it. Like, Christopher Nolan is the only director I associate these days that does stuff like that.
What makes it Christopher Nolan-esque to you?
That it just felt real. There was something that just looked so real about it. Even if it was all CG, I was fooled.
Right.
But like, it was just one continuous shot and you saw the action happen. Like, the only other place you might see something like that is maybe Mission Impossible, but even then it's like very heightened and whatnot, right? Whereas that was a very simple shot, but so much was happening in that shot that was just kind of blowing my mind.
Well, I think it was like the movement as well, right? Because you've got the movement of whatever platform Chris Hemsworth is on, like if he's on top of a moving vehicle or whatever, but the way they framed it, you can't really see the bottom of it. So it almost looks like he's floating across the snow with the minigun going after a moving target.
Right.
It's like a lot of things happening at once.
I guess the reason it reminds me of Nolan is because of like in Dark Knight, when you see the truck flip, it's like, that's a real truck. They actually flipped, that kind of stuff. I mean, Nolan likes to do as much in camera as possible, and it looked like all of that was in camera. I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they pulled it off, because he can't kill a pilot, like, not deliberately anyway.
Yeah.
Like, so there must have been some CGI. I don't know what they did. It looked great.
It looks really cool.
It certainly looks like the production value has been upped.
Yes.
But not for like just for the sake of doing so. It feels like, I don't know, man. It feels like a bigger movie, but not in an off-putting way. Because like oftentimes with Fast and Furious, I love Fast and Furious, but like you go movie to movie and it's just like, well, they went to space now. Like, you know what I mean?
Where else? Yeah.
What else can you? And so that can be off-putting sometimes, because it's like, oh, now you're just going louder, right? Whereas this. I don't know. There's also the starting place of the trailer that captivated my attention. It's going to be a weird comparison, but Metal Gear Solid 4, because you started off with Solid Snake being old, and so that puts him in a different place. That's very interesting because he's very vulnerable, and so I love when you make your main character badass but vulnerable.
Right.
It goes back to the whole John McClane thing, right? And so he fought to survive, but there's clearly something that not everything went back the way it was supposed to, right? Like, not everything is quite 100%.
He's got some issues and he needs some tissues.
And that makes him profoundly more interesting to watch, especially in the throes of an action sequence, because you're like, oh gosh, like what if now, you know what I mean? Like, what if now the machine breaks?
Right, yeah. And I have to say, I think Chris Hemsworth is doing a fantastic job. Like, he's really selling it to me. I'm just like, yeah, Chris. Love it.
Yeah.
Give me more of that. I mean, we know that he's that guy who loves being physical. He likes being fit. He likes sports. He likes to like learn all the stunts and do the action and stuff himself. And so I feel like this is something that is just so exciting to him, and he's like really putting himself into it 100%.
Well, I'm a big Chris Hemsworth fan, because he doesn't just rely on his,
I mean, yeah, he's
smoldering good looks.
He's been blessed with some wonderful genetics, but you know, he doesn't just kind of rest on those laurels.
No, he likes to challenge himself.
Yeah.
I mean, that was very clearly illustrated with how, Thor has unfolded over the years.
Yeah.
He keeps trying to challenge like how he approaches that character, sometimes to the consternation of the audience, but like I think that it's cool for him like to constantly take it interesting places. Fat Thor, I still stand by this, is the most interesting Thor to me.
Love.
Because he was such a vulnerable guy, and the fact that Chris Hemsworth can make me feel emotion, I'm like, this dude is so talented,
so good.
He's really, really, really good, and so I am very much looking forward to this, and I hope you are too. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. I'm Jabby Coy. This is
Achara Kirk.
Peace out.